Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is the trip, and we've got Tony in the house. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing all right.
All right, we got Spencer. How you doing?
Doing excellent. Doing excellent.
All right, cool. So, a productive weekend for Arsenal. Both the men and the women. The women secured their second spot, so they only have to play one playing game to get into the Champions League. The men needed to at least get something out of it, but not really. But they need to actually play better, and we'll talk about that and then some. It was Mother's Day on yesterday, so I couldn't watch the game live, but I did go back and watch it later on in the evening or in the afternoon. So I actually drove down to Philly for that. So did a lot of driving this weekend. All right, let's get into it. What are we going to say first? Yes, Arsenal. Like I said, Arsenal women are into the second round, into the second spot. Men want to, if they want the second spot, which is what I think they should be striving for, they need to get something out of their last three games. They got sent out of the third to last one, and they need another. I think they need just another point out of the next two matches, and they secure a spot in the top five, which should guarantee them on goal difference alone that they make it through. Arsenal 2-2. As I said in my title, tale of two halves. We'll get into the first half. I know Spencer said he didn't really watch the first half. It's probably good you didn't. It kind of sucked. That first half kind of sucked. Arsenal needed to come out, and I was hoping that they would come out. And Tony, did you watch the whole game?
I watched the second half like Spencer did.
All right, so I guess maybe I'll be the only one talking since you guys didn't watch the damn thing. But first half, Arsenal comes out. I'm hoping they would come out and play, come out and play a strong game because they needed it after last time they played. They need, I guess, just to come out and show that they can actually play some football. That's kind of what I was thinking. But that first half, for anybody who did watch it, not good. Not good at all. And I think that's been Arsenal's problem over there. I would say this last month or so, they just don't come out the way you expect them to. They did have chances, and once again, I think for me, Saka's not there, or Saka's, once again he took a shot, he giggled a little, he smiled a little bit afterwards. Later on in the game, he did miss, and he looked a little bit more serious about that. I think for me, I didn't like it when he was smiling and missing shots because I felt like, you know what, dude, you got the team is leaning on you, even though you're not 100%, which I think he isn't. But like right here, there's I just 3 minutes into the game, Arsenal runs a free kick, and everybody is offside, so the Liverpool defense misses Saka running behind them. He gets an open look at the goal, and he pushes it just wide. Now I don't know if he's healthy, if he's able to curl that one into the corner, but the play worked perfectly. He got a ball, just him and the goalkeeper, and he just couldn't get it and put it into the far corner. But kind of smiled about that. But I kind of felt like at some point he needs to get a little serious and a little bit more determined when he takes his shots. We'll say hi to a couple of people, and I'll probably we'll jump back and forth a little bit because you guys didn't watch the first half, so I don't know what you're gonna say. I mean, you probably saw the stats or something, right?
Yeah, I was following along with it.
All right, so I'll let you ever say it. This is say hi to a couple of people. We've got Anders in the house. Thanks for joining us. We've got PS Gunner in the house. Yes, got Arsenal and Misfit in the house. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, Stephen. Is that right? It says hi there, gents. Hope you're good. Or have I just? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. You've been busy working, but good seeing you here. What were you going to say there, Tony? About a little bit about that first half. At least you can tell from the scoreline. You can tell me what you think about that. But what else?
I was just a comment on Saka. You mentioned him being determined, and That's what it didn't matter where he was shooting the ball at, it was going in because he was determined and focused on making those shots, and that's kind of lost it. But it's hard to keep that focus when you know your body is at 100% there.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I still don't know if I'd play him or playing 45 minutes what I would do, but I would definitely be limiting his minutes right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the news that Rice has got what initially was, I think somebody said it was a hip, but then it's actually a hamstring. Spencer, I don't know about you, but yeah, as Tony said, do we need to be pushing these players and maybe re-injuring them or injuring them for the first time at this point in the season?
No, you just got to get the season over with and get ready for summer. That's really it at this point.
But should we play them?
I mean, Champions League's not completely hooked up, or whatever. Shall we say? There's a word I'm looking for.
Locked in.
Clinch. Locked in's another good word. Here we go. If anybody in the chat has another good word, please throw it in there now. Yeah, so I mean, there's that aspect of it, but again, like, I guess there's other players who could have played at the 8, Zinchenko maybe, and where he could have got a start. I don't know. I mean, that kind of worries just in general, like, because you would have had to, if you'd have won on Wednesday against PSG, then you would have figured out, does Rice even play on Sunday if they knew there was an issue, try to save him for the final. I mean, it's a lot of what ifs. I mean, he could have hurt himself during the game. We just don't know. There's a lot we just don't know. So, but again, I think the story is, lack of actual quality substitutes to do the rotation, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't even know because we don't play them sometimes. Like if I would have told you that, Kyrgios will help us, get deep into the Champions League at the beginning of the season, nobody would believe that it was a truth that would actually happen. But here we are. He's actually out there playing better than Saliba. I mean, he's consistent. I mean, he has his blips, but you don't expect, you expect when there's big problems happening, you don't expect Saliba to be right in the middle of it. So, and he's been there late.
I know Thursday Stan was talking about it. He was saying Saliba's struggling because of Gabriel, but since Gabriel communicates as much as he does. But I just don't think it's that. I think it's a little bit of your body being fatigued and you have Real Madrid knocking at your door.
Yeah, we still got to be professional about it. That's part of the gig. Still got to go out there and play some football, proper football. If you're that, I believe that you have to do your job. Teams will come and go, and then I mean, do you want a player that's going to be distracted and potentially lose you games? And that's what he was. I kind of feel like that's not a good way to present yourself, right?
Well, above all, if you could do, you could put White there. I guess you could probably move Mourinho in and play Tierney or something like that, since he used to play in center back. He definitely hasn't looked good the last, I'd probably say, 6 weeks.
Yeah, and it could just be wear and tear, like like any of our players, basically. I mean, and more likely we shouldn't be playing Saka, but we are. Rice and anybody else has been playing tons of minutes. Even Raya has been playing tons of minutes. People saying that he's not looking as good. Got a Steve here just gives a little update. I hope they how all is well with the family, Stephen. I didn't realize it's been 2 months. I kind of just say hi to everybody, and I assume I've said hi to everybody that I've said hi to for like the last number of years. But yeah, so yeah, glad. Hopefully that's all behind you and all is well. But
I feel like I've seen his name pop up since then. Maybe it's on fan circle. I don't know. It just seems like seeing his name pop up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So just hopefully all is well, and glad you're back. I mean, we're just gonna watch the end of whatever this season is for Arsenal, but no, the 2 goals scored. I don't know if you had a chance to see the 2 goals scored. I would say a little bit of that is kind of self-inflicted. Like a lot of the goals that we've given up, either from not marking players as they run through the middle of our pitch, or bad handling of a ball, which creates a counter. A lot of that happened in the game in that first half. I don't know what Arteta says to them to start a game, but stop, because it's not working. It needs to be something different. He actually did make changes in the second half, and we'll get into that as well. But that first half, defensively, and our security on the ball not good. Even though we had a lot of the possession, I believe we were doing some bad things with it. Yeah. 2-0 down in the first half. Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. Not good. And we're playing, I was going to say, I know we're playing at Anfield. I know it's a hard place to play, but I don't think Liverpool has actually been playing that well of late as well. So it's not like they're coming in finely tuned and going to beat us down.
Yeah, they kind of shut it down on the season's over for them. They won the league, so not too much for them to play for, really. So.
Yeah, I know that they didn't start Trent Alexander-Arnold. Is he's not injured, is he? He's just like
he's gone, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I find it interesting that they are doing that to Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of their top players, and Arsenal, on the hand, will play everybody. Doesn't matter if they've said they're leaving or they are definitely leaving by the hands of Arsenal if they want them. But
I can't remember the last time Arsenal. It'd have to be a boomerang. It was the last time I remember us pitching somebody that we were to sell, and we actually were ready to sell him in a winter window. He just decided to fly to Barcelona, and Arsenal didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, he forced their hand for sure. He made that one easy. I don't know if they were gonna let him go if he didn't make that trip. I mean, I think that was it on the All or Nothing. They're like, he's in Barcelona, and Arteta's like, what? If I recall.
Yeah, all of them was. I think a deal was too. They're like,
yeah. I mean that just said he wanted out, and I don't even know where he is now, but I don't think he I think he was done. Not necessarily with Arsenal only, but just basically in his football.
He got a fair amount of headers there at Barcelona. I think he got a hat trick his first game, which was weird.
Yeah, that's and and they moved on from him just like that, right?
Yeah.
And they don't look like they missed him at all. I mean, if you look at where they stand right now, playing with Yamal would have made life easier for him, for sure, I think. So, but that's what he did. Steven says everything is well, and we're slowly getting back to normal. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. All right. Trying to figure out what else happened in it. Yeah, and I would say Arsenal had a kind of a little blip. I mean, in about 2 minute span, 2 goals were scored by Liverpool, but that was all she wrote. And usually that's all that happens, right? Arsenal in this past month or two, there's always been that 1 or 2 plays that a team needs to get a goal, and they always get it.
And it's not even a full chance. It's like those half chances, especially against PSG. That's where all their goals come, and just a little half a yard or a yard of space. And the ball's in the back of the net. And that shows you why we need the clinical strikers, because if we had them for those games, it probably would have been a different story. But
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yep, that striker, that clinical player. I mean, I think we just need better. From our attack, or we need to maybe put the players in the right spots, or maybe we need to actually play some of these players. And Weary, I was hoping he would get some minutes on the weekend. That's really the only player in the attack that can help us do something different.
it's
But-
kind of criminal at this point, Gary,
Mm.
because you got Saka, he's partially injured. Odegaard, he's partially injured. He can play either spot. So, I mean, I definitely would be playing him at least for 60 minutes because I know he kind of hit his physical point where he was slowing down and stuff because he hasn't played a whole season against senior players because he skipped from under 18 straight into the main squad and play with under 21. So it's a little different for him because it's hard to know how to pace yourself and all that for an entire season. Even though he didn't play that much.
You're talking about, and that was in Weary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what the coaches are supposed to be able to do. I mean, they know it's tougher to get players in. And once again, I'll say this again, Arteta was at City, and Arteta was there when Foden, I believe, was still not getting all the minutes as a starter for City. And people were like wondering why he wasn't playing much, and they were managing him until he got to the point where they could get more out of him. Arteta, like maybe he was playing him because he had to, but he probably didn't need to. If he's not playing him now, there was, if you're not playing him now, there was no reason to overplay him beforehand until he got to the point where every time he was out there, people were like, well, he's not looking, his form looks off. Maybe because you played him too much. He's a youngster. But then I turn around and I look at Skelly and I'm like, maybe he's just not playing enough. And that's why he looks off when you don't play him. You give him these banks of time and then you take it away and you give him banks of time. Kind of feel like you need to give him something that, maybe he's playing on a consistent basis and he's not getting either overtired, overworked, but also maintaining some semblance of form. We've got Tiger and Gunnar in the house. He says, morning, lads in chat. Welcome. Tiger and Gunnar, I believe he's in Aussie. He's in Australia, so he's just waking up, having his coffee. Steven says, I thought Martinelli had a good game, and it was good to see him in the middle like he did when Aubameyang got suspended. He gave us a different look and gave Erdegaard some life as well. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And I was saying that. I don't know what you guys think, but Arteta did say Martinelli, you could see him playing as a 9, and we've been waiting for that. We've been waiting for that because we don't have a 9. We haven't had a 9 since he said it. And he still never played him. And now the season's over, nothing matters, and now we're playing him. I mean, I understand that might be the reason why he's playing, but I think that's a poor use of your talents when you could have used him and seen he might have been an answer for you, right? He might have been an answer for you.
Probably a better answer than Mourinho has been. Mourinho's got the goals, but we know Martinelli can score 3 goals a game pretty easy.
Spencer, I don't know what you think, but I
mean, it's hindsight, I guess.
No, but it's something he said. So he didn't. He says something to us, and we believe him, right? Then he doesn't actually do it, and then you're like, "Why didn't you do it?" And then you see it, and you're like, "Well, why?" The same thing with Butler. He's a striker. You put him in a game, you put him in a situation, he's going to play like a striker. You put him in a game, you see what he does. He looked like a striker, right?
So
Martinelli. Mm-hmm.
again, I guess my thing is like it's hindsight because who else is going to play the left wing position? Because you had Trossard. I mean, Sterling, we tried that. That didn't work out well at all, right? So, I mean, my thing is I like Martinelli as a 9 because the way he plays. If you if you think about the way he plays, and a lot of times he's running to the corner flag. We put him in the middle of the pitch. He has to run in the middle. He has nowhere else to go. So, and you get to. I still think you can utilize his speed in the middle of the field. It is interesting to see what I mean, do you run him as a 9 against Newcastle? Because you kind of have to now, based on the fact that Moreno is now out with the red card, right? So, I mean, it's thinking about who's left, and because I think you're going to be able to pick up 3 points against Southampton. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I think you should run some tests against Newcastle at this point. I think you should sit there and say, all right, Martinelli, let's try the 9 again, and where you get to start, Odegaard, figure out what you're going to do. I mean, my midfield for the next game would probably have been Zinchenko, Partey, and Odegaard. You could do run MLS in the midfield if you wanted to, but you're going to have to tinker around with that 9 position now that Moreno's out, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to give Butler or Deji a shot because we would have seen that by now, right?
Yeah.
So he must be completely dog shit. I'm not trying to be nice.
That's the thing. You say that, but then because you've never seen him, all you're doing is just guessing. Same reason why we look at Kirio and we're like, he looks like crap. Well, guess what? He's playing out of position, and he looks like crap playing out of position in a position that he's not comfortable in. And then we see him playing in a position that he actually plays and played before he came, and you're like, he doesn't look that bad. He actually looks pretty good.
Well, Stevens is exactly right here. The abuse Martinelli has gotten the last 2 seasons drives me crazy. He does exactly what Arteta wants, playing against the touchline, driving deep and crossing, and then running back to defend. That's one of the main reasons why Pepe never worked out here, because Pepe didn't know how to defend. Yeah. Pepe could do everything going forward, but he would never run back. So,
but if you want him to do that much on the defensive side, why don't you just play him in the midfield?
Because it's covered for the wings. It's covered for your fullbacks.
Well, I and that's what makes it even difficult to look at, because you're like, well, Salah doesn't do all that, and we praise him. He doesn't run back on defense. Not every player has to run back on defense. That's if you got a solid defense, then you can have a player who can sit further up the pitch because your defense is solid, right? Like playing Moreno in the midfield sometimes is like playing without a man. On a bad day, Erdegaard is not giving you much either. So you're playing a man behind as well. You just don't see it because everybody surrounding him is doing their job. So for me, playing a player up top that may not come back might not be as big of an issue if they are on the other side getting goals, right? Offsets a little bit, right? So I kind of feel like yes, it's a risk one way, but it might be a positive the other way. So you win 4-2 instead of win 2-1. You know what I mean? Because your defense is solid, but you don't get that much of an attack. I kind of felt like you gotta. That's why I say you got to play sometimes to the strengths of your players and, to get the best out of them.
I still feel like Arteta hamstring ties up the players like Martinelli and Odegaard, since they're playing the defense. If you have a back 3 there, then you're not dropping back, and you can focus on attacking, which they should be doing because they're attackers. There's no reason Odegaard should be on the back line next to Saliba, but it happens quite frequently. I say when Martinelli gets dragged deep into the midfield, then you don't have that outlet from the people in the deep.
And when you have him going down, driving deep, he's pretty much there by himself anyways, because you don't have anybody that one either anticipates that he's going to be on that run or fast enough to keep up. And he's not that good once he gets there, and there's no outlet. You won't take it all the way to the goal. and maybe score. So he basically ends up doing nothing and going back the other way sometimes, maybe even losing the ball. So I kind of feel like, yes, all of that is true, but what do we get out of any of that? Do we actually get any good, offensive plays out of it? Any attacks or shots or anything? A lot of times we're not. So for me, either you're wasting his talents, or you need to change up what he's doing. Because he's
And that's what
defensively solid, but attacking forward, a lot of times he's just there by himself. So nothing good happens for us.
I know it was the Europa, but he got 10 goals there his first season, and most of those runs were straight down the middle. And now he stays to a side. He doesn't cut inside for whatever reason, which he probably should be doing, because I've lost count of how many times he just dribbles the ball up there, then he dribbles it out, and then it's a goal kick for the other team.
True. Yeah. I tell you, doesn't want him inside and scoring. That's not his role anymore. See, that's the point. It doesn't make any sense. And then we're wasting his talents, right? If he's not going to be able to score, right? And he's struggling to score as it is right now, much less like not even having an option to do that. Tiger Guinness says we need to thump Newcastle, get revenge for you need to thump Newcastle and get revenge for basically the last 2 seasons.
That's 3 seasons.
I mean, we've done nothing. We've beaten them twice, and not this year, of course, but in the last 2 years, we've beaten them twice. In the last previous 2 years, we beat them twice, and then we've we've struggled to do anything against them in some of those games. So, kind of feel like, yeah, they need to. I mean, they need to just take an L, but a draw gets the job done as well.
Yeah, so. When we finished 5th, that's still the worst game I've ever seen Arsenal play. You would have never guessed if they won, then we would have been in the Champions League. Didn't look like none of those players on the pitch didn't look like they wanted to be there. It definitely didn't look like they wanted to fight for a win. It was a very bad match, and I keep waiting for him to pay him back for that match, and that's never happened. Like Gary said, there's 3 or 4 matches that we could seek revenge on.
No, I mean, that if you're talking about that season, I think there were multiple games where we could have got a win. I mean, and we didn't at the end of that season to get where we wanted to be. So that would just happen to be one of the last ones. Yep. You remember that. We're not beating Newcastle, unfortunately. Yeah, Big Gunner bringing the positivity. And everybody said we weren't beating Liverpool, and we weren't beating Real Madrid.
Well, what happened to BX? He used to be the positive guy.
He's done. He's done with Arteta.
Last month he's not been his normal self.
I think a lot of people are done with Arteta, and it's the way he handles, the way they see him handling the team. I think he plays too safe, and I don't think he utilizes it. I don't think his man management is that good. So.
And like I said the other day, in grade school, you get satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and needs an improvement. And that the same things that need improvement every year, and he just doesn't do it. So at this point, it's probably not in Arteta to manage the team better, make the substitutions, believe in the younger players, or even the older players that go through a patch. It's just like, if you screw up, you're done. You miss a training session, you miss a session going to a hospital or whatever, some of the extra stuff you do as a player, it's just, you don't have a way back in there.
Yep. I hear you. We've got why not? You got something to say, Spencer? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's holding people accountable, though.
What's holding people accountable?
Like when Arteta was punishing people like Aubameyang for not showing up on time for the Tottenham game. I mean, It's all part of it.
But that part, he can punish people with the best of them. He
Yeah.
can shut people out with the best of them when they deserve it. But the other part of that is, why isn't Wary not playing like any minutes?
I don't have that question. I don't have the answer to that
See
one.
and that's the opposite.
That's the biggest one for me.
That's the opposite of what you're saying. Like we're looking at that, and we're like,
well, no, it's not
why?
the opposite of what I'm saying. No, because what I was saying is that he's holding people accountable. Not playing in Wary's got nothing to do with that. I don't know why he didn't play in Wary.
But it's part of the man management type thing that we're talking about, right?
It's two different things, though. We're talking about playing.
No. But it's man management. Like it's under the umbrella of man management. How do you handle your team? Be it,
I don't know why he's not playing.
And that's what I'm saying. It is man management.
I don't have the answer for that one.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those ones where, like, even I guess I can understand in the Champions League to an extent in the first leg, second leg, when you need something, I feel like you should have brought him on. But this Inwari one, after I watched, what's the kid for Barcelona play, and he's out there, tearing it up at 17, and it's like, well, I don't know if Inwari's as good as he is, but I do think Inwari could, deserve a shot
on this team. He should get minutes.
Yeah.
If we were a team that was set up better, he would come on and we were like, we can't wait for him to be ready. Now we're like, we don't have Sterling isn't better than him, right? Trossard has
the one days. That's unforgivable. What game was that?
Yeah, he started against Fulham. One of the last couple of games the Premier League games. He started in that match, and I don't even know where he came on. It was like, are you kidding me? The one game you could start him, you start Sterling? Come on.
That one is the one where I was like, that one makes no sense.
Coming in after 85 minutes, I think is like he did that when he was 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 18 now. He don't deserve that, not anymore. He's a professional, but almost. He has. I don't even know. He doesn't have to sign for Arteta and Arsenal, right? He can make a decision and decide to go somewhere else. Maybe he feels he's be treated better,
Yeah.
So, missed some comments, so we'll go through this. Why Not has joined the group. Welcome to the show. He says, sack that man. Or scumbag, he said. But, yeah. Tony, Arteta wants 2 number 8s to create the passing triangles and create a hard press to win the ball up the ground. So 3 at the back is not an option. It would make a good plan B, but apparently we don't need one. So there you go. So, Tony, your back 3 only works if we had a plan B. And Arteta writes his plans down in pen and not erasable pen. And he doesn't like the he doesn't have 2 sheets of paper.
I still think it's a plan A because
it's not a plan A because he's not doing it. It's a plan A in your head and your mind. But Arteta,
but you go back to PSG. On defense, we were a back, or actually offense, we were a back 2 because the fullbacks are up. At times, they're up higher than the attackers, past their back line. And if you have a center back there, then the rest of the guys, everybody can just focus on going forward. You can absorb the pressure if they come forward on you. Because you got 3 guys back there. You got a shield. Got Raya back there. At least Raya for now. Yeah, might be joining Saliba at Madrid.
We might have those positions, but we don't play the style that fits them. So I hear what you're saying. But it's gonna Southampton holding City to a draw isn't reassuring for the last game either. Yeah. Well, everybody said we're gonna and we don't play well against teams that we're supposed to beat. So yeah. Why Not says big up Gary, number 1 agitator. Who? Me? Bronco, number one instigator. What? And Tony, number 1 G. So I don't. Yeah, Why Not? You need to check your glasses. I believe. Yeah, check your glasses. Maybe something's wrong with your internet. I am not the number 1 agitator. Arteta has been given everything on a silver platter and can't deliver.
He sees otherwise.
Yeah, he's not. I don't know if he's gotten everything he's wanted because he wanted a striker, or supposedly, and he didn't get one. So they aren't giving him everything.
Come on, Gary.
Arteta can't swallow his pride and do what's best
we-
to
we-
win. Yeah.
We haven't had an attacker for 5 years. You know he could have got one if he wanted one.
Yeah. Once again, I think he's like, like I said, writing down in pen. His pen is based on what Pep's done. The only problem is he doesn't have Pep's mind. And he doesn't have Pep's players.
You've seen what he said this weekend, saying that finding a striker will be a very difficult thing. It's like, no, it's not.
Is that
There's plenty of them out there. You just gotta pay for them. But he said finding one will be difficult.
It won't be difficult. If you can spend 105 on Declan Rice, you can buy a striker in this day and age. No doubt about it. All right. If Declan Rice is worth 105, a striker is worth a little bit more than that. If you really want one, But if you don't want one, then you're going to struggle. Arteta is too stubborn. Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. This Sterling is worse than Willian, and I don't think that would have been possible. Yeah, Sterling is. His days of football, at least in the Premier League, are done. Done.
Sterling's up there with Kim Kallstrom and.
I don't know about that. At least he had a bad back. This guy is supposed to be healthy, right? He might not be up to where he was, but he's healthy supposedly. So, yeah.
You know how you have a senior PGA, whatever they need a senior Premier League. That's where he'd be.
I don't think he can make it there. I hope Arteta gets the sack ASAP. We'll see how. And one of the things in this, we kind of going off a little bit here from the game, but the only way Arteta stays for me is if they give him what he needs and what they think he needs or what he wants. That's the only way he should stay. Because like for me, if he asks for A and you can't get him A, and you don't think he can do a job without it, why are you keeping him? If you're Berta and you look at the way the team's playing and you feel like, look, I can't get you these specific players. I can't get you a Saka that's faster and, who's a little bit more aggressive on the ball and more clinical on the left-hand side. Right? That's what he's looking for, right? He's looking for a Martinelli speed defensively, a lot more, a little bit, as some people would say, a little bit smarter with the ball at his feet, more clinical. Who's going to actually score goals. And they just don't exist. You're going to take one or the other, I believe, when you're talking about wings. You're not going to get Saka's really, when he's healthy, he's out there doing. There's not too many people that can do that. So I kind of feel like, it's up to whether Berta thinks he's got the man, and all he needs to do is get some players and not necessarily what the player, I think that's the problem there is they try to, put a square into a circle and figure out Arteta will fill the rest of the holes, and he can't.
Well, what I would do is, since you have Pessard leaving, you got Rafinha out there, 28 years old. He would give you some leadership and stuff you need. He still has.
You've got speed. Who? You've got who out there?
If you go get Rafinha.
How easy you think that is?
I don't think it's that hard.
He's probably their best player.
How much is that
difficult?
He's probably their best player. Yamal is catching up really quick, but he's probably their best player. He's probably the reason why they are where they are today and how they've played. So how do you expect anybody? You think he's going to leave? He wanted to go to Barcelona. You think he's going to leave to go to Arsenal? He had a choice, right? There was a choice. He really wanted to go to Barcelona. He's going to leave to go. He's going to leave to go to Arsenal now.
I could see it happening.
You can't see it happening. He had a chance to come to Arsenal. He didn't.
Yeah.
Now he's playing in. He's playing in a Barcelona top at the Bernabeu. He's not going anywhere.
And probably nice weather.
Yeah, it's
in Spain.
Yeah.
Come on,
Tony, you're
you have to look at some point they have to recoup some money.
Yeah,
for
when they
that.
let him go, guess what? Is when they're done with him. Not
Mhm.
because he cut to come to Arsenal when he's having one of his top years, like in his career, probably playing for a top team. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. What is this? Teta could have the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future 2 and still lose a match. Oh man, you're mean. You're mean. Gary, why not? Gary, people are awakened the vow of incremental failure. The haze of progression. Purgatory is lifting progress without successive still. It's failure. The metric of failure is nothing. Zero is ain't changed that. Did it? Yeah, there's that. But then people will tell you Arteta's done a lot for Arsenal in terms of where they were before he got there and where they are today. If that's not significant in what's going on, then you know what? Then you're missing the point, right?
Yeah.
So we were 8th and we were struggling, and he did get a trophy, but I think what he's done with the squad and where Arsenal is today is under his tutelage. We talked
Gary,
about.
let's go back. Gary, let's go back. Let's do this real quick here. Let's go back to 2018, 2019, even before then. When a City game came along, we knew we were getting pumped, right? When Liverpool came on the schedule, you knew you were getting pumped. Is it that way now? No.
Yeah, but you have opposite now. Now you have the Southamptons and teams like that. Where they get you?
I mean,
Because-
that's playing to your competition, and that's the
because-
that's the problem I see, and we've all seen with the young teams, and in this case, also a young manager and a young assistant squad, all of that. I believe that's why
Gary.
you see what you see. You've seen it. You know this scenario. They play up for the
Gary.
big games, and then they don't play up for the games that can actually get them the trophies at the end of the day. You got to be consistent. Not consistent right now. Go ahead.
Good. You and Spencer grading for the second half of his 5 complete seasons, and 4 of them were very poor ends of the season. No, we only finished good last year.
I just know what I've seen from what I see now. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. They want Arteta out, cool, do it. I don't want him out, and I don't give a fuck if you don't like it either.
Yeah, no,
I
don't need him to stay for me not to cheer for my team, but I do.
Fucking boring.
I
Boring
do
to have these discussions about Arteta in, Arteta out, and then I haven't got a trophy in 5 years.
Yeah.
When? Like, okay. I mean, we just played in the semifinal of the Champions League, without a striker. Are we paying attention? Dembele had a world-class shot. El Ruiz had a world-class goal. You got beat by a better team. You know what you need to do to work on. But now we just want to throw everything out? Is that what we're going to do? I mean, hey,
that's why they wanted rid of Wenger. It's why they wanted rid of Emery, because you weren't bringing in the Premier League and the Champions League. Champions League is easier now because it's actually a league.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to the summer. I'm excited. Berta's coming in, have someone with a little bit of knowledge. The crime the club did, Gary and Tony, Edu and Arteta together. 2 lack of experience. That's the crime the club committed.
I still want to know what happened last summer between Arteta and Edu, or Edu and the Kroenkes. What happened?
Well, I'll say this. What definitely happened was Sterling. And I don't mean because it's
a settle.
Sterling was like, we screwed this all up and we're gonna try to save it, and that's because they didn't plan. Supposedly they planned for all these things. They didn't get what they wanted. They couldn't sell Sesko, which I find ridiculous. What was Sesko waiting for? Why can't you sell him that, guess what, you can actually start for this team? We don't have a player in your position. We don't. We have players that play there.
That's a good question.
but we don't have a player that actually plays your role, and we need that because
It should be pretty easy to get strikers and wingers because they know their
the reason, yeah,
holes there.
the reason why Trossard scores is because we put the ball in areas and he's able to get on the end of them. And he wasn't getting at it. He wasn't getting that service at Chelsea, and that's why he's struggled to score as much. At Arsenal, look, he's our leading scorer. Hasn't played for months, right? Marino's is not never there, right? Saka's not healthy, so you basically 2/3 of your front line not so good. And like I said, it's not consistent with Trossard. You get a good game here and there, but then you can't. Then the third game, you're like, what happened? Why is he out of the lineup? Right? Let me go through this chat real quick before we continue on with, what we got, what we don't have. You didn't want to strike a Gary. Can we please acknowledge this? He's been forced to do what's best after his failure to accomplish anything. I believe part of that is true. Yes. Berta hopefully is going to get him what the team needs. And hopefully, they're able to come to some agreement as to why they struggle. And I've been saying this from day one. We're struggling because we don't score goals. Not because our defense sucks.
Nope.
We don't score goals. And people go, well, you scored 91 or whatever. Guess what? We needed to score timely goals. Right? And we don't do that. We go down a goal and we have no answer to figure out how to get that goal back. Even now. And that's on Arteta, but also he's looking at his bench going, I don't got anybody there. I think he does, but he doesn't want to use them. My question is, what will Arteta do if Pep retires? He won't be able to steal Pep's ideas. He's got all the ideas. I don't think he's not stealing anything. He's got the book. He's just cut and pasting from the book into his notebook.
I'll tell you what was most infuriating about Wednesday night, Gary and Tony, if I'm honest. A stupid Thomas Partey throw-in tactic. We're going to throw the ball into the box with this big-ass goalkeeper in there and figure it's going to work out. Slow throw-ins, slow free kicks. That's right, infuriated.
And we always do those slow throw-ins. That's why we give up penalties for them. Because they waste a ton of time taking them.
Yep.
Well, what and you know why, right? Because we never move. Nobody runs to the ball. Everybody stands in between defenders. So it's they
walk back and forth, but nobody makes like a fast move to go anywhere.
It's easy. We're easy to defend because we don't move. Like we don't make runs into the box. We don't make runs towards the ball. All these types of things. We want the ball at our feet, but we don't want to move for it because guess what? We're not. I don't know. I saw this in the game yesterday. When we're passing to the feet, we're great. When we have to lead someone, not so good. Pretty much every other time, if not every 2 out of every 3 times, we try to make a pass to somebody making a move. It's like 2-3 feet ahead of them and never get to it. I don't know what that is, but see that too often. And sometimes just get the ball to the feet and we'll be okay. But we don't do that consistently either. So
I've been watching the Premier League for 28 years, and I can't once think of another team or Arsenal doing 3 foul throw-ins in the same game. Never have seen that.
Yeah, because we're too busy thinking about what, I don't know. Let me go through this chat. I've been trying to do that and not getting there. Strike in my butt, Gary. Number 1 agitated. Excuse. You look for alibi. Arteta has never hinted at wanting a striker before the January, before Havertz, known to be injury prone, was out since. I didn't. I said he just asked for one. I never said he's gotten one. So he asked for one this January, if I recall, or this December, this winter break. Didn't get one. So for me, if he hasn't been asking for one ever and he asked for one now, you fix it and you get him one. I don't think the extra 20 mil for Ollie Watkins is that bad of an investment. You win. He helps you either get to a final in the semi of the League Cup or the FA Cup, and he probably makes up the difference. So you have choices there. Since 2021, since we sold Arteta every season, Arteta has been questioned about lack of goals, and striker has been through 6 or more windows bought. 2 left 8s and Jesus to play up. No, we just haven't got the right answers there. Yep, 5 years is a long time. But you know what? I once again I'll say this, and this is where Arsenal has gone wrong. This is an Arsenal problem to some degree. He's not going to be where you guys want him to be in 5 years, because you know what? No manager that I believe in any football career has got to where you want him to be in 5 years. First 5 years of his career.
I mean, go look at the 2019 roster and tell me if you thought it was really a championship roster.
No, I'm not talking about the roster, but he's got to overachieve of what he got. But he can't do that because he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's why I didn't want him in the first place, because I wanted somebody who could take what we have, make it better, meanwhile get better players to make them have a better system. So I think when you put all that together, you're going to get what we got. This is all on starting from the top down. I mean, Arteta just happens to be the guy that we see every day. But this starts with KSC, with how they decided they wanted to build a team. They wanted to build it with a young, inexperienced manager. And then they didn't want to give him the tools to get the job done. So he got screwed.
Gary, he got $750 million in transfers. So
yeah,
I'm just being sarcastic at this
point. No, but they we'll look at some of those players that they brought in and go, they're not helping him. He needs players that he spent $700, but not all of it was done correctly. So you're not helping him when you give him Sambi Lakanga, when you give him Marquinhos, when you give him Nuno Tavares, when you give him players that when you say, you know what. We're gonna just think about the first or second season when he had players, right? We had what's his name? Oh my gosh, the 2 players that we signed.
Louise.
No, Louise. I thought Louise was actually pretty good for me. A lot of people say he was bad, but the reason why Gabriel Margalez is as good as he is because he actually learned some stuff from Louise. All right, because we talk about it all the time, like. He'll make these long passes and stuff, and that's what Luis was doing. Defensively he's younger and better player, but like Luis wasn't the problem. It was all the other players that we had that were bringing in.
Staffy.
Right? Yeah. No, but we re-signed players we shouldn't have just because we wanted to keep continuity.
It was Cedric
and the other defender. That we
center back. I can't remember.
Yeah, we signed them, and it was like you're not helping him. Pablo Mari, you weren't helping him with giving him those types of players. He needed.
I think that's the failure there is Edu and Arteta at the same time.
Yeah,
you either going to go really experienced manager or a really experienced football director, and you didn't.
Yeah. And they went to Portugal 5 times and struck out with all those players.
Yeah.
Trying to find a gym.
Yeah, like I said, it's the manager who you see, but it's not him who's given the keys. So when everybody was going after KSC, now they stopped going after KSC. They're going after Arteta. It's not all Arteta's problem. It isn't. It was Edu's problem. It was KSC's problem. All 3 of them were the perfect storm for what we're seeing. Very slow progress. Very slow progress. Yeah. I won't be able to read all these, so I'll just put them up so everybody sees that. Yeah, Moreno in midfield in that PSG game for me was like, why are we weakening 2 lines of our team?
The which game?
The PSG when Partey was out in the first game. We weakened 2 lines of our team and basically struggled to do anything. All right, so I feel like don't weaken 2 lines, keep them up top, and put somebody in the middle. If you had put in Mazu, Skelly, Zinchenko, at least you would have had you would have had at least better in front and on the back, and maybe a little bit weaker in the middle. But we weakened both the middle and the top, and we paid for that.
Still, such a cheap yellow card Partey took at the end there.
That was really silly on him. Godfrey's in the house. Welcome to the show, Godfrey.
I mean, it's not the difference in the tie because Dembele had that great shot in there.
No, but you want to win at home, so you should give yourself the I'd rather would have lost 2-0 trying at home than
PSG was better than Arsenal. It's just we were there.
That's irrelevant to the discussion, though. we didn't even give ourselves a chance in either one of the legs. So then basically it doesn't matter whether they were good or not. We didn't give ourselves a chance, and
I
that's
don't
my
think that's
problem.
completely true because hold on, let me finish my statement on this. Trossard missed shots, Martinelli missed shots, Saka missed shots in that first leg at home. What was the XG? It was the best of the first leg from all the teams, and we didn't put our chances away. I mean, case in point, in the second game, there was an opportunity for Saka to bury an empty net, and he puts it over the net.
I don't think he's
It's the
healthy.
story of the year, though.
He's not healthy.
I-
He's not healthy.
I-
Like the same player you're talking about is the same player. We go into the Liverpool game in the beginning of the season, and we're like, "How are we going to do this down some players?" And what does he do? He opens up the scoring for us, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, he's not even 100. He's not back to a healthy level
But his help,
to get his form.
But then on the flip side of that, he makes a nice goal against Real Madrid. So
He's not consistent because he's not healthy.
I-
How do you want him to be 100% perfect all the way through when the guy's not
It's an
healthy?
open net,
You can
Gary.
see him dying in games, right?
I agree with you
Around
on that,
60
but
minutes,
open net.
his levels are like E. So
I get it, but
you're not getting the best out of him right now because
that empty net he
you're
missed
playing
had
him.
nothing to do with his fitness. That
Yeah.
was an empty net. He missed it.
but
I'm telling you, he is not healthy. You're
Oh,
telling
no, I
me
agree with you,
he's
he's not
missing
healthy,
shots. I'm
but-
saying the two go together. He's not there health wise. So
I
you're not
probably
going to
would've
get
made that
you're not-
shot. There was no
No,
goalkeeper there.
you wouldn't have because you wouldn't have been
Well,
there.
I would have never gotten past
You would
Donnarumma.
have pulled.
to be
You would have
honest.
pulled a hamstring. You would have
I
pulled
would've-
your hamstring trying to get up
I would-
there.
I would
You'd
have
have been out of the
yeah,
game already.
for sure.
All right.
But if you give me the opportunity to drop in there, like
Yeah.
freeze frame, I'd put that ball in the back of the net.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I just think we got beat by a better team.
I'm
They
not
just-
saying that we didn't, but I'm saying you're missing what I'm saying. I have nothing to do with the result, the performance. We didn't put ourselves in a situation where we were going to get a chance to win 8 game, all right, much less win both legs. That's not what I was saying.
You know what I saw? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just in my opinion on this, like I saw a team that was better at finishing than we were. That's what I saw.
that's what it boiled down to. They
That's
were
been our
trying to
that's been our problem all season. So
Yep.
the only thing you can do to circumvent that is to give yourself more chances and give yourself an opportunity. And when you don't do that because you don't want to bring in players that might help you get better opportunities, right? Guess what happens? You increase your chances of failure, right?
And you've
Because we
seen that a
didn't
lot.
even try. We didn't even try.
You've seen that
Because
a
you know
lot
what,
this
we might lose. You know what, that's the thing. We didn't even try because we might lose worse. You know, we didn't.
We give a team a half a yard to a yard of space,
Yeah.
and they just drill the ball into the back of the net. And that's shows why we need a striker like that. So you're on even footing. Not sure that PSG is a better team. They're better than they were at the start of the year, which they were ranked the 12th best team of Europe when we played them then.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see them as the 12th best team, but I still think it boils down to your tactics and everything else.
The talent-wise, they probably had the talent to get there, and that might be where they were ranked so high, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of what I see there. I mean, for us, it was what we really didn't have. Nobody's going to count Halves as a good attacking answer. Martinelli is a good attacking answer. Ughhh is a good attacking answer based on the form coming into the season and based on what we know we needed. You know, Halves, the numbers look right, but you look at the play and you're like, we still need a striker. Well, we're still saying that. The man had 15 goals last season. We still said we needed a striker. So obviously the goals don't mean as much.
And supposedly they want him to go back into the midfield, which doesn't work.
I don't know how he's going to play there. Where is he going to play? He's not going to, like, if we said, all right, we have 3 games in a row we need to play, is he going to start any of those games? If we make the moves we're supposed to make this summer, if we bring in a Zinchenko in a left wing, where does Kai Havertz play?
You will see him play in the midfield some.
No, but I'm talking about our best 11. He's not in our best 11.
He still would be backup striker for me, or a backup striker.
Yeah.
You play to me. You play him at 8 or as a 9 as a backup.
No, I know, but he's not. He's not like I'm saying. He's not. He's not part of our best 11. If we make some of the moves we're talking
Well,
about,
hold on
right?
here. So we're worried about a best 11. Need to be worried about a best 15, 16, 17.
No. I'm just talking. We're talking about like who. Like we want to. Our best 11 should be better than one we have the start of this season, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you
and
can
the
always upgrade it. Definitely a striker. You always upgrade it left wing. You can upgrade it left back. Like if we're really thinking about this, but the problem I think that we went through this year is the fact that positions 12 to 16 left us question marks when we needed answers, right? Outside of Nweri.
no. But think about what you're saying because we had the 15
We don't have the
players.
bench players.
We had the 15 players, but most of those we're all defensive players.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we had with Nweri until we saw him play, right? Otherwise, we didn't have another, and Trossard. That was it coming off the bench for us, right? Attacking wise, and we knew what we didn't have, and we let go 4 attackers, and we placed them with, didn't even replace them with Nweri and Sterling, right? Not really a good. That's not a good 1-for-1 there.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, we've been playing with like 3 to 4 academy players in the last month. All right.
And in the Champions League, you can register 25 players. I've always believed you need at least 2 players for every position. Don't believe you need 3 for strikers because it's either they get a slight knock and can't go, or they just go out of form for a while, and you bring somebody else in. But we definitely have a huge depth issue. Some of it should have been done in the summer. Some should have been done in the winter. But now you have an impossible task of getting that 18 to 22 players that you can put out there. And it's a be of those 18 to 22, how many is Arteta trust?
And that's where Berta has to come in and tell them you need to trust these players. I'm not getting them to sit on the bench. All right.
Yep.
We're not getting. We can't have passengers anymore. Right. Like for me, Sesko would be a passenger in what we want to do. I mean, people bring Sesko in and go. Havertz is still our starting striker. If we bring in Sesko, that doesn't bode well for what we need. We need better than Havertz, right? So, yeah. Let me see.
I mean, you could go after a Julian Alvarez if you wanted to. Berta's got the connections to Atletico.
They just spent, but yeah, it costs 80. It costs a lot less to get Gyökeres. It costs a lot less to get.
But I would say
Watkins.
For that.
You're not gonna. He's not leaving there. They just spent 80 on him. Unless we're paying 100 for him, you might as well. If we're gonna spend 100 on Alvarez, I'd rather spend the 150 on Isak. You know what I mean? That's where I feel. I feel if you're gonna.
No way we're getting Isak from.
No, I'm saying if you're willing to play the 100 plus to get Alvarez, you might as well just go get Isak. You know what I mean? Try to get Isak and pay whatever they want. That's what I feel. If you're willing to pay over what he's worth, over what they just spent a lot on him. So I kind of feel like that's where yeah.
I mean, it's worth at least making a phone call over.
Yeah, no, we should definitely not assume that the answer is no.
I think you need 2 attacking players, striker and a left wing, and then maybe if you can get a third one in, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I still think we need 3 wingers. Saka needs backup.
Yeah.
Martinelli's not good enough. And Trossard's leaving.
Anywhere, though. No, I mean, I guess you could sell Martinelli if you wanted to fund some of these items. They're saying there's a rumor they wanted to extend Trossard for 4 years. I'm like, he's 30 already. Like,
that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the craziest things.
I mean, if you want to extend him for 4 years, but Partey, you're like, now we don't want him.
That's why I think that I heard the report, and I think it's another one of these Twitter accounts that want attention and followers. It's like a TikTok reel. Yeah. So we'll just put something out there and get people to talk about it. That's my opinion of it. I think you got to let Trossard roll. You keep Martinelli. You bring in an upgrade. If you're lucky, if you can get a Nico Williams or someone of that quality, that'd be hard to do. But if you could bring in a Williams, if you could bring in a Georgas, I mean, is it crazy to maybe say, hey, Kudus, it's not working out at West Ham. You guys are in 16th place. Because everybody says nobody wants to come and sit behind Saka, but if they're worth their weight, they're going to want to try to beat Saka. And why would we not want someone to actually challenge Saka at this point?
Yeah.
We can't sit here and say no one's position is safe.
Yeah,
if we're trying to make that next step, everybody's position's got it. They did it with the goalkeepers. Why can't you do it with the forward players?
I've been saying that to you for years now. We are so cutthroat with our goalkeepers. We've improved on goalkeepers year on year. But for any other position, no. We're
cutthroat
fine.
on left back, though. We're very cutthroat on that left back.
Yeah, because they keep getting injured.
Yeah, that's
like he'd stay healthy, and he doesn't want to get better at that position. All right.
Yeah.
Like left back, we just been injured. That back, those fullbacks just haven't been as healthy as we would like.
And if you had played Skelly in some games last year, then you'd realize
Skelly wasn't even in the squad last year. So I don't even know how that isn't even. How could you even have thought that would be a way? They didn't even bring him in. I mean, that season that you're talking about, if you recall, and I remember this, right? They brought in Skelly, and I was like, who is Skelly? And then they brought in Weary, and I just remember in Weary in the midfield. I'm like, he looks comfortable on the ball. I know it was preseason, but isn't that what we're looking for? A player like that on a half turn and can take his player on, strong, low body, low center of gravity. Nobody's taking the ball off of him, and that's what, we barely ever seen him play in that midfield again, right? He did it then, but not now. So I kind of felt like, once again, Arteta, play your players sometimes in their preferred position. You might get the best out of them. You might get more out of them. The team might get better for it.
But that's the key of getting that extra depth is like these guys have to be drilled into a position. Maybe you have 3 to 4 utility players.
Yeah.
But you don't need 10 guys on your squad that can play 3 or 4 positions. They need to excel at one and make them pretty much undroppable in that position. Yeah.
Biascona says people say they want elite players to come, and that won't happen with this manager. He's not dictating a world-class player. There's 2 breaths of thought there: elite players and world-class players. We don't need world-class players. One is really hard to get, and we have bigger holes to fill, so we can't maybe afford a world-class player. Yeah. But you look at PSG's the players that they brought in, were they considered world-class players when they brought them in? I don't think that they were considered good to the elite players, and they've just excelled under, the coaching and the management there. So I think we just need better than what we got, and we have holes all across, in different positions on the pitch, right? We just need to improve on that, and we don't need world-class players. Okay, XG Smacks G Bronco. The manager didn't prepare the team mentally, no composure in big moments. Part of his fundamentals prepare teams physically, mentally, tactically. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you say.
Yeah.
I personally don't like the sabermetric type stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
The XG, it doesn't matter what your XG is if you can't give a ball in the back of a net. It doesn't matter.
And that's the manager's fault that Trossard couldn't put the ball in the net. Martinelli couldn't the ball. That's all the manager's fault. He told him, "Don't put it in the back of the net. Hit the goalkeeper's head."
Oh, but you've got an Nweri who at one point was doing a goal every game, and you don't want to play him. So I'll go back to the whole player management.
We can hold it against Arteta, but to sit there and say that Trossard and Martinelli purposely missed and because the manager failed to prepare.
They haven't changed in the last 3 years.
No, I'm not addressing that. I'm not saying that's not what I'm addressing though, Gary. The comment was the manager didn't prepare Martinelli and Trossard and Saka basically. That just doesn't make any sense. In any I don't even know how to rationally respond to that. You are absolutely right though, Gary, to say Nweri didn't get a chance to play. I agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you on that. Especially when we've seen him do quality things. But to sit there and say the manager's the reason the players didn't put the ball in the back of the net, I mean, okay, I guess. Sure.
You could make the argument for Martinelli in that. So Arteta wants him to play defense as much as he does. But Trossard, you can't really say is a manager's fault.
Yeah, I just think, like, I think coming when we brought Trossard in, if you recall, I believe he had a hat trick against Liverpool, and he didn't play against Liverpool when we played them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what? Tell me why he can't play against Liverpool with Arsenal, who at that point I believe had a better squad than Brighton.
That year also when he was brought in, I think he got pushed back for Jesus that came back from injury.
Yeah. So and that's on Arteta. So like when we say
Arteta
Arteta may not have Arteta may not have anything to do with him missing, but he may have a lot to do with his mentality, which may have killed him. Killed that because guess what? I know I can do it, but now you're basically putting me in the elephant graveyard, and guess what? My skills deteriorate when I don't play.
No,
right?
No, the player still has to play.
And I tell you this, I know this much. If Arteta had confidence in Trossard, he would play him. He plays Havertz no matter what, no matter how poor he plays.
Havertz still has the most goals on his team so far.
Yeah, because he's in the right position, right, to get that, right, and he has the confidence that guess what, Arteta. But I know this because we saw this with Xhaka. Arteta has confidence in you. He will back you, and you'll feel better about the way you play. I know that much. And you know what? Not everybody gets that because Pepe didn't get it, right? And Pepe, we know, is a really skillful player on the ball.
But he didn't do the stuff off the ball.
Didn't give him the confidence stuff. But you know what? That's when you utilize the skills of your players, and you don't take it hurt your team. You hurt your team by not playing them in certain situations when you need them to play, right? Maybe he's not a starter for us, but maybe he does get the third. Maybe he gets the occasional start and comes on when you need goals. Because guess what he does? He scores goals. And guess what we needed even when we had Pepe? Goals. We've needed that ever since Arteta's got here. Goals are what killed us defensively. Think about it. We played a really good defense when he first showed up, right? He made sure the defense was solid, even with the crappy players we had. Offensively, struggled, right? We struggled.
And last year we scored the most goals we ever have in a Premier League season, and we still left a ton of goals out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I mean, I blame the manager for the guys not putting the ball in the back of the net. I can't do that. I will absolutely blame Arteta for not playing in Weary, and I think it's criminal. We haven't seen him play recently. 100 starting Sterling in the Bournemouth game over in Weary is just pure criminal. So again, we are blaming Arteta for things. I'm just not going to sit here and say he's solely responsible for everything that went wrong. I just think it's just lazy at this point. So I don't know.
Yeah. And see, this is where I'll conflict with Biggest Gunner, because I'm saying, guess what? It's not only Arteta's fault because it starts above him. KSC, Edu, and Arteta all perfect storm creating this mess that you're seeing. Berta hopefully will separate. Will keep the KSC issue and make it maybe better by not having a better player. When you put a better person in, you expect better performance out of them. So Berta is that better performer, hopefully, at his position. And then guess what? It means we'll get the players that we need, and we'll fill the holes that we need, right? And we'll do that.
Gary, we've said this. I think we've said this numerous times, and Tony as well, that we've held Arteta accountable for some of the stuff. I'm just not willing to kick the baby out with the bathwater right now. I mean, I will absolutely call him out when I think he's wrong. And I mean, the tactic, the Partey throw-ins, I mean, that was the stupidest thing. Just dumb.
Yeah.
Because it took him like a minute and a half before he threw the ball in every time.
I mean, that's something. We scored a goal.
You were looking at what were you looking at Partey? Or were you looking at the other players? Because I swear, if you were looking at the other players, you would see he had nowhere to throw it unless he just throws it to the other team. And then people complain about that and go, "Why did he throw it to the other team?" Guess what? One, because he had to throw the ball in at a certain point in time, and two, none of them are moving. None of them are putting themselves in a position to actually receive the ball. So what's he supposed to do eventually?
You remember we scored a goal. I can't remember the team we played against, and I don't remember how the result went. But Jesus scored a quick goal because we did a quick throw in.
Mhm.
This may have been Crystal Palace this year. But either way, we don't do quick throw-ins anymore. Everything's about letting the other team just get set up.
It's called
like it.
risk averse because you know what? We might like that one time we throw the ball in too quickly, we might lose it. That's what I feel. The same reason why when a team turns the ball over in the midfield, and instead of us just attacking and moving forward and moving towards the goal as you would expect, we pull up.
So
and then
my,
we
again,
go
my,
back and
my, my
reset.
claim would not be Gary to do a quick throw-in every time, but we never change it up.
No, you got to take it. You play to what they give you. You play the defense, right? If they're gonna give you an opportunity to run at them, you run at them because that's a really good opportunity to maybe get the shot off. Put them when they're on their back heels. That's when you take advantage. When they're not paying attention, that's when you take it. How did Liverpool score on us? We made.
Well, you're the only one that saw it, Gary. So
Saliba booted the ball out of bounds. Right? It was thrown in. Bang, bang, goal. Both Saliba and Kiwior were standing there with an attacker between them. Didn't even know he was there. He just heads the ball in with nobody there. And you're like, what the world just happened? All right. And that's because they didn't waste any time with their throw-in.
It's always drove me nuts about throw-ins is a guy's ready to take it, but the normal taker comes up, so they just throw the ball behind their back instead of just giving them the ball or just throwing it in themselves and getting it out there early instead. That's why Arsenal gets called for those delay games, correct? They do it, and I don't know why Arteta has them doing that almost constantly.
Yeah,
and I definitely don't know why they came into. Like Spencer said, it was the first throw-in of the game. There's Partey throwing it at the goal and kept trying it time after time after time, and it wasn't working.
So again, like 1 or 2 throws that would have been fine with, but after like the 75th minute, we're like, bro, we can try something else here.
So you think he's just stupid, or you think that's the instruction he's been given?
It's been instruction.
It's partial. It's instruction you've been given. And I'm not going to say stupid because I don't think that's fair. The instructions have been given, but also these guys think they can always beat somebody. They're competitors. I'll get you this time. They're like,
no, I don't believe that. I think you're trying to. You don't want to blame.
I just blamed Arteta.
No, you just said the reason why they keep doing the exact same things because they think they could beat them. And I
competitors.
Think you're trying to take it away from Arteta. I get it. I get it.
Gary,
no, you are. You are. No, I heard exactly what you said.
The first thing I said.
You said the players are trying to do something.
I said the first thing I said it was the instruction.
Not that the instruction says. Guess what? You throw the ball in like I said.
Roll back the tape. 1 minute 18. I said it's Arteta's. I didn't say Arteta's fault, but it's the instruction. Number 1 and number 2.
I guess whose instruction? No. You can say it's Arteta's fault because he's the one giving the instructions.
Factors. See, this is the problem that we got in our fan base.
No.
I'm saying this.
You don't beat me on this one.
I've got you on this.
None of this. You don't got me on this.
It's possible. I know this is so crazy, guys. It is possible for multiple people to be at fault for the same thing. It's revolutionary to our fan base. Arteta in, Arteta out. It is possible. The Cronkies are responsible. Arteta's responsible. The players are responsible. And I don't know, maybe Weather's responsible. But there is a world where that is the reality.
Don't pull an Arsenal fan circle.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think in that situation, doing the same thing over and over again is like a player going, I'm going to get you this time. Because now you're trying to put it on the player that's what their mindset. That's their mindset when they're saying it, as opposed to my manager told me to do this. Like when we're like looking for when we reset the ball over and over again and go and play out the back when we could just attack the front line. That's Arteta in the back of their head. That's what I believe.
Do you know what I want to see?
They know how else to play sometimes either, though.
No. They've been instructed to do that. If they had a manager that maybe was a little bit more offensive minded, right? In certain situations, he would tell them to take advantage when the defense, when the opponent makes a mistake.
Do we see Martinelli and Saka on the wings? And there's like 4 blue shirts around him. We saw this on Wednesday.
Because when we play out for the back, guess what? They know where the ball's going.
But again, like why isn't Moreno making a run? Why isn't someone cutting in and splitting it between two defenders?
Your answer is Arteta because that's the
Oh, that's on
instructions
the
they're
player
given.
too.
That's the
You know who
instruction
used
they're
to
given.
make those runs? Havertz used to make those runs.
Yeah.
And
That's
what's
the
Havertz
instruction from the manager.
How come he made runs and no one else did?
Because that's the instruction from the manager. What is your what point do you not get? You're making Moreno and Cal Havertz as the same player. They are not.
They're not the same player.
So the instruction is different.
One thing there, Gary. Kai is one of Arteta's pets as well.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know about all that, but
Spencer,
I just believe the players are doing what he's asking. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
There's players that are for progressive thinking, and there's players that aren't.
Our players aren't allowed to go outside the box.
See, again, I don't agree with that though.
None of them go outside the box. They're all, and that's why that's why our defenders maybe get an opportunity to do that, but not. I think everything's scripted, man. If you look it up, there's a script for everything.
It's you know what I think it is. That feels like a slight excuse for them to be incompetent.
I'm just telling you how they're being asked to play. I have no doubt a lot of that is true.
I mean, of course, there's a style that they're going to play, but the fact that they don't make forward runs, like we had no one that makes runs. Ben White used to be really good with that, but then Ben White has been injured all year. I don't know. I think blaming Arteta completely solely for the players not putting the ball in the back of net or not making creative runs, I think is they've got to take chances.
And you said it right there. Take chances. Guess who doesn't take chances? Guess who I'm going to say?
Because he's not on.
Arteta doesn't take chances. So in reality, you're going back. We're going everything you say is going to take it right back to the manager who's giving the instruction of how his players should.
What do we want to do here? Let's come to a consensus. Let's draw straws while we're here.
Yes, you lose. We move on. Thank you very much, sir.
Gary, you know what? Just for the sake of the good banter, you win. You win.
But there's a stark difference. You see it on offense that they're sitting there, they're partially handcuffed, but the cuffs are behind their back. But you see Gabriel go out there when it's time for a free kick or a corner, and he goes and he talks to somebody. He goes back to his position. Then he goes back, and he might call an audible. They got full freedom on defense on these set plays. Offense, they don't have a gun to go do whatever they want to do.
I don't feel that's no. I just don't see that. I don't.
I mean that's what I believe that we are not allowed to be original in what we do in the attack. It's structured, and that's why you see the way
we don't attack in the middle. That's the big problem that I see. Everything is built by the wings. But again, when you play like a false nine, that's kind of how it goes. Everything's in the wings. So again, that still worries me about what type of striker you're going to bring in the summer, right? Like, is there a guy that's going to be able to do hold up play too?
No, but think about it. We wanted to bring in what? We needed to bring in a Xhaka replacement. That's what everybody said. What do? We go out and we bring in Rice. He's not a Xhaka replacement. And guess what? He does different stuff than Xhaka, right? So basically, you can bring in a player who might be better, might be different, and get them to work in the system that you have in place. Because guess what? I think Rice is maybe a better player than what Xhaka was offering us. You know, right? So for me, yes, you bring in a better player who maybe offers something different, and you cater. You ask them to do different things, and that's how you should do. Like right now, if you said, "All right, go out there and you get Isak, you bring them in," you're gonna the way you're talking right now, you go, "Well, how is that gonna work?" Because you see how he plays for Newcastle. How are we gonna utilize those skill sets?
Well,
no, he's a better player, so you tap those resources.
We're not going to get Isak. I understand the
example, not the execution of a transfer. It's the talents that you have and how you would utilize it in the squad. You would take advantage of that. We're not doing that right now, even with the players we have.
So here ultimately becomes the question. This is the legitimate question here. If we're thinking about this from a standpoint, if you're Berta, and you know Arteta has a certain way he plays, but you're also looking at this from a perspective of like, second place, whatever, looking at the 5-year results. Just made it to a Champions League semifinal, first time in about 20 years, whatever, 15 years, whatever it is. So you're thinking like, I'm going to go get myself an Isak, or do I get myself a player that can do hold-up play? Because I may bring in a completely different manager next year if it doesn't work out. So again, the transfer policy has to be thought of the best player available at this point. That's going to be the club's challenge. Best player available, or what fits what we do. Right?
Yeah, so that just means like you're saying, like, okay, if you had an opportunity to bring in like a Messi in his prime or Ronaldo in his prime, you go, oh no, you know what? It doesn't work with the way that we play our
bring him in.
football. So you're not going to bring him in for that. And it's like that makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying. You have to bring him in.
No, I'm saying so. Like right now, Isak is that you have to bring him in if you have an opportunity to bring him in.
That's what Spencer just said.
You have to bring him in if he's
available.
available. Okay, let's stop with all these like no negativity stuff. With like we're not going to get him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have the opportunity to bring in a player at that level, then you bring him in. Yeah. Right? Like you want to bring in a player like Partey based on what you saw, you bring him in, right?
Correct. I'm saying that I think the transfer policy in this upcoming off season will be the best player available, looking at what's best for the club, not what's best for Arteta, what's best for Berto, what's best for Kroenke. I don't think that's what it's going to be done. I think it's become what's the best player available.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing the rumors of Zubamendi, Kyorkis, whatever. However true those reports are, who knows? But if that's the start, I mean, that's going to be planting a flag in the sand of how serious the replacement football director is. And maybe that's the plan all along. We didn't spend because we knew this was coming in the summer. I don't know. I think we're making all sorts of excuses about it this time, but I think we're looking forward to a fun summer. If that's
you don't bring in a Bertrand and go, guess what? We're gonna do what we've done in the last set of windows. I think that would be that's like saying we bought in Rice and we don't expect our midfield to get better. Yeah. No, you brought in Rice so your midfield can get better. You brought in Rhea so your goalkeeper will get better. You brought in Timber so your defense gets better, right? You brought in California because you said you want your defense to get better, right? We did all these things to make it get better, not because it might happen. No,
I agree.
Oh, no. She or he agrees with me. That's cool.
She agrees. Summer's gonna be a big deal. I just think you just gotta be excited as an Arsenal fan right now. If you're feeling very pessimistic about the future, I don't know, man. You're entitled to feel you are. Like, I'm never going to diss anybody for what their opinions are, but you just played for a Champions League semifinal. Yeah, you're going to fall short in the league again. That's where regressions happen this year. But if you don't see the injuries, okay. I mean, there's things to be upset about.
You planned for those, though, because he didn't bring in any replacements for anybody that left.
We can ask Edo about that, I guess.
No, but I mean that's why it's a perfect storm and everybody, and there's more people to blame. But right now, we know Arteta. I mean, I wouldn't take the blame for some of the things that would happen if I were him. I understand being the team player that he is, but it makes you look bad.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and speak for the panel here. I'm pretty positive that the three of us are not Arteta out, so that's the thing in out. But we're also not blind to the things that he's responsible for.
Yeah. I told you what I would like. If he's going to stay, they have to give him what he needs. If they don't give him what he needs and they don't think he can do it with the players they bring in, he has to go, in my eyes. So that's either Arteta in out, however you want to say it. But the only way you hold on to him and keep him there is if you think he can get the job done with the players you bring in. If you have to get specific players, like if he said, I want Sesko to come in, and you're like, well, I can get Gyökeres, and he's like, nah, I would wonder what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
All right. And if you said, oh, I'm going to, I can bring in a Zubamendi, and he said, nah, I think Sambi's coming back. We'll probably, like, no. Like, that's a little bit extreme, but I kind of felt like
Well, that's what happened with Emery.
He needs to be able to have players come in that you can find a Timber, right? You can find a player that's better than some of our starters right now.
I mean, my counter argument is this: like for Liverpool, I mean, Arnie Slot won with Klopp's players.
But he also got Gakpo and Gravenberch to actually play into his system.
Yep.
Right. So not only did he have some of the top players in the world in the squad, but he also took players that people were like, all right, we'll see how this works out. And guess what?
I just want to see what Arnie Slot does.
They had a really good year, right, with those players, right? People were talking about is it Gakpo being one of the better players in the league, right? So I think yes, he did have. Like when you have a Salah, it makes it easy. When you have the goalkeeper, it makes it easy. When you have Van Dijk, it makes it easy, right? Those three players are at a level, right? They're at a level that makes everybody around them.
But let's also not be nose blind to this. When someone builds the dinner for you, it's easier to eat it too.
Yeah, no, but people are like acting like he didn't do some improvement outside of the players he already had.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but at the same time, Klopp had that team built. Yeah. If Klopp's the manager, they win the title.
Well, that maybe, but that was the reason why he left, because they weren't, right? They needed a new voice, and some people will say, well, why can't that be Arsenal and Arteta? Why can't a new voice maybe make the difference?
And I think
Klopp got this, as you said, got this team all set up, and he left maybe because of the stress and maybe because of the management, who knows what, but
money, maybe.
He can leave. Nothing to say that Arteta doesn't have any kind of credit in the bank to say why he should stay.
I think that's exactly why he took off a year coaching, because he had to get the club to be in position to still win when he left, which he did a good job of. But you still have to give the new manager credit, because he was able to get the players to play for it. Yeah. And that's the key thing in today's football is these players can say, nope, we don't like playing for this guy, and get him sacked.
I'll tell you what.
Time and time after again. That makes me the maddest thing in football is the players are giving up when they're getting a big paycheck.
Well, how about this? I think the telling thing yesterday, Arsenal went down 2-0. And they fought back and got a point out of it. So one, that tells me the players haven't quit on Arteta. And two, it shows me the character they got. So you still got players that have bought into trying to finish the goal of the season. They want to play in Champions League. They want to finish the goal. So again, I'll say this from the Kroenke perspective, as someone that's followed a lot of their sports, not a Nuggets fan, but they fired Michael Malone 3 games left in the season. And they're in the semifinals of the Western Conference, right? So,
based on that right there, Arteta can be fired.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
that's my comment. So again, I'll give you another one. And again, this one infuriates me a lot more than the actual Wednesday semifinal did. The Avs were up 2-0 in Game 7 over the Stars. They traded away Mikko Rantanen early in the season to Carolina. Carolina traded him to your big rival, Dallas. He scores 3 goals, eliminates you after he's with you for 10 years. Here's where the flip side. No one got fired. Chris McFarland kept his job. Joe Sakic kept his job. Jerry Bednar kept his job. So there's a flip side of this too. So I guess my point is you never know what the Kroenkes are going to do. I didn't see Michael Malone getting fired from the Nuggets. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, after you let Mikko Rantanen go, when you wouldn't pay him,
but you just right there. You wouldn't pay him, so he left. So that who said no? Who said no to that? Is that the KSC who said no? We don't want to pay. So if KSC said it, then that's like Jerry Jones saying I can't fire myself. I'm the boss. I'm the head chief.
Well,
I write the check, right? And basically, guess what? He made.
So they were going to be a salary.
No. But they had no. So it's not even like that example doesn't work in my eyes, because it's not like that's like you had to let him go, right? You had to let him go, right?
Well, he was going to walk at the end of the season if they didn't trade him.
So No,
I mean, I guess my point is we don't know what the Kroenkes are going to do.
No. But what, like I was saying, letting him go might, like I said, my thing to that is if they don't feel they can get what they want out of it, just like they thought Malone for whatever reason wasn't going to be the man, they let him go. It doesn't matter the timing of it at all because they built a solid structure around in the squad, so it didn't, as you can see, it hasn't really affected them.
So here's the thing, also.
But also they had really good players.
All
right?
3 of those teams we're talking about, Arsenal, Colorado, and the Denver Nuggets, all top class of their respective leagues. You know, in that discussion,
Yeah,
you
but
make an
we,
argument. I
we
mean,
don't have a top player in the world.
no,
on our
but you're
team right now.
You're also
But
Arsenal is considered one of the top 4 teams in this league easily, right?
No. I get you, but
That's my point.
But like
They're in a
the
competitive
Nuggets
spot
have
where
a
they can
top
make these
player
moves.
in the league, right?
Yeah.
In the world of basketball right now, right? I'm not sure what the Avs had, right? You know, I don't know what they had, but NFL as far as the Rams, they had, for me, it's solid. They had, one of the best up and coming managers, coaches to come in there, do a good job. They actually sold their quarterback who got them to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So for me, it doesn't. It's so to me, they've got something different, and it worked out, and they got a
They're
Super
very
Bowl out of it.
successful run sports entertainment, whatever business. But to be fair, I was sick to my stomach for about 3 to 4 days over the Avs game. That hurt 10 times worse than this.
Yeah.
You had your former player eliminated you, score 3 goals to eliminate you.
Yeah.
That one stung.
Yeah.
It's like an RVP coming back to just stick his knife in you.
Yeah. Kind of did a little bit of that. So, sorry, fellas. I haven't been able to read all your messages, but we're coming up on about 100 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed the chat. I know you have because you guys have been chatting a lot in here. You know, you're not happy. I get that. Like I said, for me, Arteta isn't the only problem.
Nope.
But if they don't feel like, for me, the same way they feel like no matter what they did, Nuno Tavares wasn't going to be the player for them. They tried it a couple times, it didn't work. If they don't think Arteta, if Berta's like, and if it, we'll find out what kind of control he has in terms of the players that come in and how Arteta is viewed, right? Like I expect that when this new season starts, if it's Arteta in there, that the players that we have on our squad will get better utilized, even the ones that he hasn't been utilizing. Because why are we holding on to players if you're not going to use them? That's a waste of the team's resources. So, and Berto would be in charge of making sure that doesn't happen because you less once again you kill the value of your players when you don't play them, right? Yeah. And that's why Liverpool did so well. They used a lot of their players, not all the time. Some were injured. Some just when the time was right, they used them. We need to be in that situation. No, people should not be collecting dust on the bench. There's always a skill set you can use, and we need to do that. Take advantage of that. I don't know where Tony went.
I think again, my thing, the next year's progression is, I mean, our bare minimum goal is to score 2 goals a game. I think that's where we need to look at. Next year,
I hear what you're saying, but for me, it's a 2-goal lead.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No. A 2-goal lead. You're talking about a 2 goals.
I don't want to give up any goals. I want to go 38 games shutout.
We're not gonna. That's unrealistic in my eyes because you are playing against teams that have better attackers than you in some respects. So no. So for me, 2-goal lead because we have gone up 1 goal and we've never been able to shut the door with a second goal, and that's why teams are able to get back at us. Right? We need to get that second, especially. We might be back to where we were before where our defense is solid and it doesn't matter how many goals we scored. At least we score 1, we win. But in my eyes, we need to be better. We need to be better in the sense that we need to score those goals, the timely goals to put us up and shut the door.
It's going to be it's going to be a fun off season. That's all I'm going to say. But I think we're going to still finish in the top 5. Like I said, I think the Southampton game will be no issue.
Yeah. Darwin Núñez is a Premier League champion. Mustafi is a World Cup winner. So
Yep.
you know, there's always players that don't contribute as much as the stars do that wins a trophy. So I think the problem
Yeah.
that's not gonna go away.
We've all been on a group project where we did fuck all and got credit for it. I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, no, Nunez winning a trophy is not the problem. You know, Salah playing as well as he did has been what on the offensive side is what they needed. Van Dijk, goalkeeper, whatever goalkeeper they had back there did a really good job for them. So, are you guys live streaming this time next week as well, or a different time?
Lord willing, if the creek don't rise.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're always on at 12:30 a.m. UK time. So yeah, do this every Monday, and you can check us out on Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons, 3 p.m. UK time. I don't know what time that is for you. That's probably early in the morning for you, but you can check us out then as well. The here and no Gary. What? I don't know what I said. It's for the here and now. Yeah, yeah. We scrapped top 5, a loss and a
Breathe,
draw,
guys.
and they
That's all I'm
do
going
win.
to say. Look,
Yeah.
I'm in all seriousness. If you want Arteta out, that's fine. Whatever. I'm not that persuasion. Like I said, I blame him for things. We've made that well documented tonight. But just breathe, everybody. Just breathe for 5 minutes. Just breathe.
Nah.
I'm serious about this. Like, I get it. It sucks. This season was very disappointing. There's no qualms about how disappointing this season was. Just breathe for a couple minutes. And if you wake up tomorrow and still feel the same way, that's okay. And we're still going to welcome you to come here, and we still welcome your opinions on stuff. But just breathe, everybody.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Always the same time. Yep. 7:30 a.m. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a. Well, you know what? I get up. I'm always up. I'm already ready to work at 7:30, be it at home or I'm at my desk at the office when I go in. So, yeah. So
Try to find a parking spot at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what top player at Arsenal is down tools outside of Aubameyang. So what top player at Arsenal is down tooled? I don't know if there is one that I can think of besides Aubameyang right now.
I can't think of any.
And I don't. You know what? For me, I think
one thought
I
Saka was world class, but then it's a PSG game kind of had me thinking again on that.
Who is
Saka?
I think we're looking at a Saka who's had it. He ripped his hamstring off of his bone.
I'm well aware of that.
I kind of feel like until he's back, I'm not gonna know whether or not he's back. That's the problem with that surgery. Like we've seen it, right? Reece James had that surgery, right? And supposedly he's still not back, right? So I think it's Reece James, but like I said, that's why people, a lot of people are like, that's why I was happy. I would have been okay if he doesn't come back because I want him back healthy next year. He has helped us, I believe, get to where we want to be. But yeah. But is it at a cost? We'll find out. Like the fact that right now Rice has got a hamstring issue for me means whatever we're doing is not going to help a guy who just came off hamstring surgery. That's what that means to me.
I don't know what he's asking me there.
Do you have any brain leaves of country you get dependent on the company?
I think he's saying it. I said the rivers rise in this very country saying, yeah, it is. I'm very complicated. I spend a lot of time in the South. I hang out with Gary. I'm in Virginia.
I'm not that part of this.
We're not done yet. And then I hang out with all you lot from the UK. So I've got this varying. I'll say y'all, you all. It's all over the place, man. If you didn't know me, you'd be like, "Where's he from?" I don't know. That's a good question.
True. Yeah, I'm watching there. The next guy can't relax. The next we're up 2-1. So I don't know. They're home. So you know what? They need to get this win. They need to get this win because they don't want to go back 2-2. Let's just say that. Everybody knows this. Ozil down tooled. Yeah. But for me, both Ozil and Aubameyang, some of the reasons why I feel like that those things happened to them is
Divas.
because they came in. Well, no, they came in, and we talk about this. They were set in their ways. They were old. They're old men. Now all of a sudden, a new guy comes in, a young up and coming manager, be it Emery or Arteta, and they have different ideas of how to play football, but they don't cater to the old ways of playing football for like an Ozil or an Aubameyang. And I think when you don't that, and this is one of those ways, one of these things I talk about when I said not utilizing the skill sets that you have. So when you ask them to do some things that either they can't do or they're not used to doing and they look bad doing it, they're not going to want to do it, especially if you have, they're both world class players, right?
Mhm.
You're asking a world class player to do things that they haven't done for basically their entire career, and they've been successful not having to do those things. Guess what? Eventually, you're going to get the worst out of them because you're not using them the right way in their eyes, and you got to get them on your side, right? That's why our team gets burned out because you're asking players to play both ways. So I kind of felt like, you know what? That's what you get.
I'll tell you this also. This is the
Yeah.
thing about team sports, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I think, individualism kind of goes out in anything that's a team based, right?
Mm.
And Ozil, Aubameyang, they were very individual based. Whereas Saka's the kind of guy you want to, if you're going to hand a captain's armband to someone, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, like you're not handing it to Aubameyang. I know why they did it because they were desperate, but
That's where I think they went wrong. If
yeah,
you're going to put that money on the table and then not with the idea that I can change this player, because that's ultimately what they did. Yes, they wanted to hold on to a big asset, but then they wanted to change the way they played, and they thought, oh, it'll just work, and of course it didn't. I
Yeah.
think that's where they went wrong. You have to know, and that's where you have to start. That's where you have to know the mentality of the players that you have before you make a big money decision like that. I understand Ozil, but like for me, that's where, okay, if you do make this choice, then you have to find a way to get them to work.
that's true.
When you say no, I'm not going to do that, then you basically have said I got a wrench, but I'm going to use it as a hammer. I'm sorry, it don't work. It doesn't work. You can't hammer with a wrench. You know what I mean? You got to be really precise when you do that. You got to. So for me, you're using the tool wrong. You're not going to get the results you want. So that's kind of where I feel like Arsenal went wrong with those players.
I think also that those kind of
Mhm.
players have a shelf life with them too, where they're good when times are good, but
Mhm.
when tough times are there, they're not the men you need to push through those tough times.
Mhm.
And I think, I think it's always used. Arteta can't handle big personalities. Well, sometimes those big personalities aren't worth dealing with. There's a reason why Aubameyang got pushed out of Dortmund, right? Like
No,
there's
but I hear that, but then I'll turn around and tell you that you know what, Dennis Rodman was one of those types of players, and
correct.
he's worked, and then coaches have had to figure out how to get the best out of him, and they've done
And one
world class
person was able to do it.
world
No.
class players have got the best out of him because when he played for Detroit, they got the best out of him.
Mhm.
When he played for Chicago, they got the best out of him. So for me, you have to sometimes cater to those types of players because the skill sets are you can't copy it with anyone, right?
Yeah.
So if you have them there, then you should try your hardest to get it to work. If you bring them in and you screw them over, then that's where it's all on you. But if they're already there and you're not going to utilize them and you're not going to be able to get any money for them, you better go and use them in my eyes.
Here's the flip side I have on that, and you're right. But I think also when you play with the Pistons, you had Dumars there, Isaiah Thomas, right, was there, right? My agent too, but I'm saying like you already had elite players already there with him, so he became this complementary piece where he didn't have to leave the room, right? If you bring Rodman in on his own, it's probably going to be a crap show.
No, but if he's already there, then and you can't sell him, then you don't want to get the best out of him, then you're just hurting your squad.
I think my thing is like you had Aubameyang, but there was no complementary piece that was there with him to be that like Saka now and Aubameyang would probably have done really well together.
Yeah. But then I'll tell you, like he doesn't go back on defense might be one of the things you say.
Yeah.
Well, then you bring in a more defensive player behind him, so you don't have to worry about that. So then he doesn't have to come back, right? A more defensive minded player, and so you still have your attacker sitting up there making those runs. Got BBK Sports. I'm trying to get out of here, but we keep going back and forth. I'm enjoying it. I keep enjoying it, but we do need to get out of here. I didn't ask you to shut it down, but we do need to get out of here. Yeah, no, it's gonna. I feel you. I feel your pain, but oh, yeah, and the dog feels your pain too.
Feels it too. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but the season's over now. Like I said, I want us to finish strong. Hopefully, that's what happens. We finish second, not because it's a trophy, because we need to finish strong. We need to go into the off season on a high note, accomplishing at least something, and that might be, not losing in 3 games. Maybe winning 2. We'll see. Rodman excelled everywhere he played. Yeah, no. I mean, essentially, he was a team player. You just had to know how to, work with him, kind of thing. That's kind of what you had to do, and that's what managers have to do. It's a lot of psychology, right? The things that Arteta was doing was trying to get into the psyche of the players, and people looked at it and went, but it was his way of doing it, right? So everybody does it differently. But we're gonna get out of here. I don't know where Tony is, but we're gonna have to go. Spencer, any last words to the people?
Thank you for coming in, and enjoy your rest of your week, everybody.
Cool. Spencer, thanks for coming on. Tony, thank you for coming on. I don't know where you went. You probably had to take a phone call. Usually that's what happens. He takes a phone call and then his connection drops. I don't know. I guess he's on his phone when he does the show. Oh, he was there. He was there for a second, then he left. When a player knows it's hard to argue why they are performing. That's where a manager has to be able to understand how to communicate with that player. That's on the manager. So as much as you say, like, the manager has to know how to work with those types of players. Tiger and Gunnar, thanks for the good words. Same thing, Steven. We'll see you on hopefully we'll see you a little bit more regular, hopefully. And like I said, we'll be back on Saturday. I know Arsenal plays on Sunday. I believe it's Sunday. Do they play Sunday or do they play Saturday? I can't remember now.
Sunday.
They play on Sunday. I think both of the games are on Sunday. So yeah, no more. Yep, both games are on Sunday. Of course, the last game is always on the Sunday. So 11:30, or should I say 4:30? Is that 4:30? Sorry, 5:30. Sorry, 4:30. UK time, and then 4 p.m. on the last one. Sunday night for you. All right. All right. We will see you guys. Tony, any last words?
Nope. Just we're have a busy summer. Hopefully we do the things we need to do.
Yes. I'm with you on that. Hopefully we have some new players coming in, and we have some more, we get the signings. I think Skelly and Nweri contracts also will tell us what's going on there, or else hopefully we don't lose another academy player. Can't afford to keep doing that. Can't afford that. But thank you for joining. We'll see you guys on the next one. Enjoy. If you haven't already, hit this subscribe and like and turn the notifications on. We'll see you on the next one. Over and out.
Life is a journey. Don't waste the trip.